The world needs blockchain adoption. The world needs crypto. The world needs Web3. The world needs to put every single one of its assets on a blockchain network. This is adoption. This is getting users on chain, and Avalanche, by the end of this video, I will explain to you exactly how this is the network that this will happen on, that we will tokenize all of the world's assets and make everybody super happy. To understand this, let's talk about the internet the current way it is. And frankly, this internet is incomplete. So let's go through different use cases on the internet, right? Let's think of it as superpowers, right? Let's think of this technology as abilities that you could have in the Marvel universe or whatever. First thing this allows is telepathy. I can talk to anybody in the world instantaneously. I can talk to my editors in India. I can talk to my coworkers in Seoul, South Korea. I can talk to my homie down the street because I want to coordinate going to the Atlanta Hawks game this Friday night. This is telepathy at its finest, and this is something beautiful that the internet has given us. The other thing it's given us is infinite knowledge. Every single human here has gigabrain capabilities. If I want to talk to you about marine biology, all I have to do is turn my back, go on my phone, Google marine biology, and all of a sudden, I'm an expert. I have all the information I need at my fingertips. Theoretically, we're all infinitely knowledgeable. And the other thing is it gives us global influence. If I'm the smartest person in the world, which some might say I am, I can put my ideas on the internet and at infinite scale influence anybody in the world. Now that might sound evil, but in fact, we see that typically a lot of the best ideas rise to the top. There are a bunch of crazy pockets of infinite influence, but we're gonna focus on the cool stuff, the stuff that I'm doing. Now, what do crypto networks allow? True digital value. So that if I put a viral video into the air or I post something absolutely amazing, how do I maintain the value on that? Well, typically, the ways I do that are not all the time completely digital. I have to talk to brands, I have to negotiate with whatever platform I'm posting on to somehow harness value from anything I do on the internet. It's not baked into the technology itself. Value isn't baked into the internet itself. This is the beautiful thing that crypto networks allow. And so then when you combine all of these together, the internet becomes one of the greatest inventions since the wheel, since the invention of fire, since sliced bread. This allows anybody in the world open access to value creation. So then now you're gonna ask me, Avery, don't we already have this? Well, frankly, the answer is no. Everything goes through human systems that oftentimes are run and maintained by humans. And now, I love humans. Humans are great, but the problem is that we're imperfect. I have bad days, right? And if I am in charge of one of the most important decisions, or if I'm in charge of your money or of your assets or the way that you get digital value, if I have a bad day, I can tamper with that and make it so that it's not truly yours and it's not truly yours to own. But with blockchain networks, I can't do anything about it, no matter how bad of a day I'm having, no matter how bad of a day the person who's in charge of the banks, the person who's in charge of social media, no matter what. And to illustrate this point, I'm gonna look at this graph, which is one of my favorite graphs when talking about this. It is the cycles of global reserve currencies. And the point of this being is that human systems, no matter how powerful they are, no matter how it feels like they just cannot fail, a lot of the times they eventually have ups and downs. And the reserve currency list goes over the most powerful empires and how they've changed over time. Currently, the US is on top. The US dollar is the premier reserve currency. But how confident are we that this will be the reserve currency in 300 years? You might not be alive for that, but I probably will because I'm gonna figure it out. But things change, and you can't always rely on human systems. Blockchain networks solve this. So let me go into a few other use cases that aren't necessarily financial because not everybody cares. There are other cool use cases, such as social media. What if the product was the content that we make and not just the ads that we sell or the products that we promote? What if there was a true relationship and ownership of the creator's content and their audience? This is a crazy concept that Web3 gives. Gaming. We love gaming. I love gaming. Now, what if the skins that you grind hours and hours for are worth more than just bragging rights? What if once you're done using a skin, you can sell it on a marketplace and buy another cooler one that you like to use now? You gotta swag up sometime. And also, what if these digital assets, these skins, these items that you get in game can be used in other games, creating a perfect digital ecosystem? These are things happening today with Off the Grid, and these are things happening today with studios such as Faraway, where you can have one game asset and use it across the board. Now, a little more fun use cases, a little more exciting use cases. Insurance. What if you weren't a slave to whatever your provider was allowed to give you or wanted to give you? What if anybody in the world could get insured? We are seeing this today with Lemonade, who are allowing farmers in Kenya, where the markets are just too small to form a business around. What if they could just interact with a smart contract network and insure their crops so that if a drought happens or a rainy season happens, they can just look at the smart contracts and they get their money immediately? Ticketing. What if tickets were sold to actually humans and not just bots? So when Taylor Swift comes to town, there's not just a bunch of people trying to game the system to get thousands of tickets for themselves just to resell for a premium, with Ticketmaster or whoever is in charge of that ticket can't just charge 30% premiums and allow this to happen. And what if you knew that your ticket, when you get into your stadium, when you get into your event, was gonna work and that you didn't get scammed on a duplicates, which also happens. Web3 fixes it. Adoption. Getting users on chain. Now the DMV, the governments. What if all of your government assets were tokenized on chain so that they're completely verifiable and very, very quick to transfer? So all of a sudden, if you want to transfer your car title to your buddy Joe because you got a cooler car and you want to give him your less cool car because he's your less cool friend, that's okay. What if this took a couple of minutes and you didn't have to go in line, wait at the DMV and wait a month for the full thing to happen? What if everything was on-chain and immutable? These are just a few examples of adoption, and these are a few examples of things that are happening today that we expect to become enormous in the coming future. Now, the really hard part about this is, okay, let's all accept this vision to be beautiful and true, and that the internet's gonna become the best thing ever since fire, since the invention of fire, like hot fire, which is pretty cool. This is really hard. Okay, and instead of going into the technical details of this, I'm just gonna show you this quick little graph. Okay, this is just napkin math to illustrate a point. These numbers aren't perfect, but it's napkin math that you should imagine that they're perfect because I did this. The current global transactions per day is around 12 to 26 billion. Think supply chain transactions of the pieces that went together to put together this camera I'm looking at right in front of me. Also the same transaction of me buying coffee this morning. All of this, it's around 12 to 26 billion. And our current most adopted chain can only handle around 500 million transactions. It's not even close, right? And we expect this number to go up exponentially too with the introduction of AI and AI agents. Avalanche. This is a theoretical infinite amount of transactions. I'm gonna explain to you exactly how that happens in a second. I say it's theoretical infinity because the laws of physics, the engineers tell me I can't say it's a real infinity because laws of physics impact, how fast, computers can work. Assets need different things as well. So the actual infrastructure of getting this fast enough is hard, but also that assets need specialization. What games need, a gaming skin, a Fortnite skin, may not necessarily be the same thing as, like, let's just say a Tesla stock if you wanted to put that on chain. These things have different layers of optimizations and different needs. Games need to rely on speed, while more financial transactions need to be as secure as you can imagine. So, I'm getting to the climax of the video, right? This is the fun part. How do we do this? What is the solution? Avalanche. Multiple chains, all connected. Let me explain. So first, let's imagine a singular blockchain in our minds. This is just a singular system. Think of it as like an Excel spreadsheet, a general purpose Excel spreadsheet where you can just throw any asset you want on there that you please. These are the most adopted chains such as Solana, Ethereum, Sui. Now imagine a system where you have one of these in the center with a bunch of specialized chains surrounding it, all specialized for their needs, all connected. And to double the throughput of this system, all you do is add more chains. To double the throughput, you add more chains. To increase it, you add more chains. So if I have 4 chains and I need to double the throughput of the entire system, you guessed it, I add 4 more chains. Now we're at 8. If I need to double that, I go to 16. If I need to double that, I go to 32, and so on to theoretical infinity amount of chains. Because the laws of physics, theoretical infinity. This is Avalanche. So this little central chain I'm talking about is called the Avalanche C chain. And these additional chains that are specialized for gaming, for institutions, for ticketing, all these specialized chains, these are called Avalanche L1s. And you can use your own virtual machine, you can use your own token as gas, you can even have your own rules, your own validator set, and it is a beautiful thing. So let's go to a couple examples of what the actual role of the central chain is with the additional L1s. So the central chain is largely where you're gonna have liquidity. And think of that liquidity as just having a lot of money that can get transferred around and a lot of users, reliable general purpose users on one place. We see these people a lot of the time that they spend their time in meme coins, that these people spend their time with DeFi and NFTs, and even AI agents jump on these chains to interact with all of that. These are just as simple tokenized assets as you can get. And we expect this to grow large in the future, and it's not going away. But then you're gonna ask yourself, okay, so can an institution exist on this centralized chain? Can a AAA game who doesn't wanna have to worry about the activity of other apps interfering with its bandwidth, with its gameplay, with anything, they're gonna want their own L1. And we see this from a ton of use cases and probably more that we haven't even heard of yet. I'm talking about the basic infrastructure stuff, where maybe there is a supply chain that just needs a central state, a central source of truth. Well, you want to have your own L1 for that. Consumer use cases, think of loyalty points, ticketing, these assets that are going to have billions of transactions, they're going to want their own chain. And they can even abstract away from the user so it doesn't even feel like it's crypto in the first place. And we're talking about governments who might have different regulations where they need to have specialized rules for their own blockchain, for their jurisdiction. I'm also talking about AI, where maybe the way computing happens is different than the way computing happens on a general purpose chain, and that they need extra GPUs, they need extra power. Well, you can do that on an Avalanche L1. And what does this do? This is how we get to adoption. This is how we get users on chain. This is how we achieve the next generation of the internet so that we are all superhumans in this amazing, beautiful digital planet. So it's kind of like we're living in like, the Windows Vista background, the one with like the grassy field. Like if we're just vibing on that all day, which sounds pretty cool to me. If that made any sense to you. Maybe it didn't. This is Avalanche. This is the Adoption Network. Thank you so much for watching. We are building the future, and what I need from you after watching this video is very, very simple. I need you to tell your entrepreneur buddies, hey, check out this cool system here. You can tokenize your assets and make the world a better place. Or you can tell your friend, hey, if you hear this cool network, you should tell your entrepreneur friends, or you should tell your user friends to hop on this chain and see what's happening. I need you to spread the word because it's the only way that we can make this future happen. In a world changing as fast as it is today, we need some sort of reliable systems. And crypto and blockchains are some of the most reliable systems on planet Earth. This is Avalanche, the Adoption Network.